It's July 21st. This is the Platformers Episode 3. I'm your host, Brian Barnett.
I'm Chris Shriver.
And I'm Martin Galazzi.
And this week, we're going to be talking about a number of things. First, gentlemen, let's talk about what we played. What are you guys playing?
Dem Pokemon Go's dough. All day, every day.
Yeah.
Seems like everybody's still playing it.
Pretty much same here. Been on that Overwatch, as always. Pokemon Go, because it's nasty. Then I tried a few little indies. Got some Inside. That was not too bad. Then played some Valiant Hearts. It's a bit older, but it still holds up. Not too bad.
How long was
It's
Inside?
good.
How long?
Yeah.
3.5, 4 hours.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Did you do it in one sitting or split it up over a couple?
One sitting. It was okay. I mean, I get the hype, but I don't really like stories like that. So, not my cup of tea.
Have you played Limbo?
Yes, I liked Limbo a lot more.
Interesting.
Limbo was more of a story to me, and this was like a art piece, which is fine. I mean, it's just not my forte.
Okay. I'm curious how I'll feel about this because I feel like I'm in the minority because I played Limbo and I actually wasn't a huge fan of it and I didn't really like the art style. Inside definitely looks way better. It looks way more polished. I really like the art style a lot more than Limbo's, and I'm curious to know if I would like Inside more or less than Limbo. So I'm still kind of on the fence about whether I want to pick that one up or not. I've still got a lot of stuff that I've got to play through before I get to the point where I'll feel comfortable like buying new games. But I'm interested in that. I'm interested in Darkest Dungeon, and I'm interested in I Am Setsuna. So I'm kind of, and maybe Song of the Deep. So like those are all kind of like the maybe next games that I'm gonna play after I get through the stuff that I picked up in the Steam Summer Sale. So
those backlogs.
What is Darkest Dungeon? I haven't even heard of that. That's like the only one of that list I haven't heard of.
Darkest Dungeon is it is from what I know, obviously I haven't played it, but I have heard other people talk about it. Darkest Dungeon is a kind of party-based dungeon crawling role-playing game, except the twist on it is that it's like Lovecraftian in the way that they've added, like, you know, in your standard RPG, you'll get status effects like poison or paralyze or silence and things like that. In this game, they're like sanity based. So like if you go up against a particular type of enemy and they're kind of horrifying, or they'll do something horrifying, your people will start freaking out. And then that will affect their rolls on attacks and their defense and things like that.
Oh wow!
And then between your trips when you go back to town, each person has a particular way that they cope with the stress. So like there's a casino and there's a bar and there's a brothel, and so one of them might go drink a lot to deal with the horrors that they've seen. Somebody might go and pick up ladies at the brothel. One might go and like gamble away all the stuff, but that also affects their health and well-being. So like if somebody's a complete drunk, they're not going to be a whole lot of use to you when you go back down into the dungeon the next day.
It sounds a lot like
cool.
Sounds a lot like Don't Starve, just a little more deep. I don't know if you guys have played Don't Starve at all.
It's in my library.
Played Don't Starve. It's different in that Don't Starve isn't party based. You just control one character.
Well, yeah. There's Don't Starve Together, but yeah.
I have that one. I think they gave that out on PS Plus on Vita or something like that.
They might have,
yeah.
Or Giant Edition or something like that. I'm not.
Regardless,
I'm not sure.
the only thing I was trying to say is the sanity is very similar. Where
Okay.
I didn't know there was a sanity thing in Don't Starve.
Yep. So like if you are out in the dark by yourself or whatever, you'll start to lose your mind, and that's like a big component. And then like the different characters can up their sanity in different ways. Like the pyro lady can light fires and she'll be super happy, stuff like that. It's different, but definitely it's cool to see people doing new mechanics specifically in that genre where it's just changing.
And particularly because I've been reading like some H.P. Lovecraft stories, like the Shadow over Innsmouth, and the Call of Cthulhu, and the color from I think it's the color from Outer Space. The color
No
from
idea.
space.
No clue.
And
Yeah,
and
I've
like,
never heard of any of these.
And like A Call from Beyond. They're all in the public domain, so you can just pull them up online and read them for free. They're all short stories. The Shadow over Innsmouth is actually quite a bit longer than the other ones, but I read all of the other ones in like maybe an hour and a half, something like that. So they're all totally readable. They're really good stories. I like
Yeah,
them quite
it's
a bit.
Lovecraft, right? Like,
Yeah,
that's the basis
and,
of a ton of our mythos.
which I didn't know. A lot of World of Warcraft, like all of the old gods from World of Warcraft, are inspired by H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah.
Bloodborne is inspired by H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh, without a doubt, that is like a Lovecraftian like baby.
Oh,
given
it's a
to us.
Lovecraftian masterpiece.
Yeah.
Bloodborne is one of my favorite games of all time.
Oh, we know.
But anyway.
we know, Brian.
Oh, we
I don't-
know.
I don't want to get too. Well, I mean, come on. I love Souls, and that's like really fast Souls.
So tell us about the games
bu-
you've been playing.
Well, since we started recording,
Wait,
we've done a couple of.
I don't think Chris told us all the games that he played.
I didn't.
Let
Oh,
us
very
know.
nice, very
Let
nice.
There
us
were
know.
two. There were two more. I picked up Street Fighter V Collector's Edition. It was on. Got that on sale.
On PC or PS4.
PS4.
Okay.
My buddies James and Richie are really, really chomping at the bit for me to get like my own fight stick and do all that. So I'll probably end up ordering that tomorrow.
I didn't know you were that into fighting games.
I'm not. I want to be. It's one of those things. It's
Okay.
like I've always wanted to get good at it, but I like start to play for like hours on end, and I'm like, wow, this is like really difficult, and then I just give up.
If
I
I
feel
moved
you.
my camera a little bit, for those listening to the audio podcast, which is the only podcast that we're putting out because we're not putting out this video. But if I tilted the camera over a little bit, you guys would be able to see my fight stick.
Ooh.
Which one do you use?
I use it's a PS3 one.
Okay.
Because I haven't really, and it's not compatible. No fight sticks are compatible with the games that I would want to play.
Okay.
And I'm not interested in spending another couple $100, especially after I just built this PC.
Yeah.
But I use the Blaze Blue Chrono, not Chrono Phantasma, the Blaze Blue Continuum Shift Tournament Edition stick, which is, it's a Hori stick,
Okay.
which is the one that you want. And it's got I think it's got the Sanwa parts, which are the ones that you want. And I think it's basically like a palette swap with the Street Fighter 4 Tournament Edition stick. So it's like it's kind of like
it's
the
like the
gold
same
standard.
one. It just like looks.
It's just got the Blaze Blue cast
Right,
on it
right.
because that's the game that I got into.
Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, I have no idea what any of the words you just said were. You're
Look up-
speaking some crazy language.
It's crazy how like involved some of those because I was looking at
Yeah.
once because like the two that people always go to are Hori and Mad Cats, and
Yeah.
so I'm either gonna get the TES Plus or I think there's TE2 is another one, but that one's like
Yeah.
super expensive.
Gotcha. Hey,
and
I got this fight stick right here. It's called an Xbox controller.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
Like I'm like
it
I
moves,
don't
and then I can hit A and X.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
like Jess and I were playing on just like the DualShocks the other night, and I was like, this is fine. Like I have no problem with this, but
they just
yeah,
a
they
guy
keep giving me a
actually
hard time
went.
about it.
A guy went to, I think it was Evo a couple years ago or something like that, and took a PS1 controller and won a
Oh
competition.
yeah, like people can definitely do it. It's just like
So,
it all
yeah.
depends on what you're used to. But like God, some people just swear by those things. So I was like, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, and actually, I really want to use the fight stick for this as well. I fired up Shovel Knight the other night because I was like, I'll just it's one of my
Play
favorite
some
games
Shovel
ever.
Knight, yeah.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
a fantastic game. Yeah.
I totally forgot Challenge Mode came out. I never did it, so I started going through that a little bit. But I want to try playing Shovel Knight with the fight stick, like really, really badly.
That
Play
might
it like
actually
Ghosts
be
and
pretty
Goblins
good.
in those old
Yeah,
games.
just like get that.
That actually sounds really appealing.
Yeah. So I'll probably end up doing that whenever that comes in. Yeah, and then just Pokemon Go. But yeah, and then another project that we'll get into later.
So it seems like everybody is playing Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
I've fired it up a couple of times. Audrey, my wife, actually started playing it, and so she's caught. I think she's caught like 10 or 15, something like that. and she just does it on the bus while she's going to and from work.
Okay.
The shine was never okay. I just have to say something.
Say it.
Somebody tweeted out something, and they said that Pokemon Go is the best terrible game ever.
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
I think that is exactly how I feel about it.
Yeah.
It is kind of a garbage pile, but it's
Okay, so Pokemon Go
it's cool.
is a mobile game.
Yes. Okay.
Android,
Thank you, Marty.
iOS, absolutely. It's a GPS-based game where you walk around. It's location-based, right? So you find Pokemon chilling out in the woods or most likely in a Walmart parking lot. And you catch them. You throw some little Pokeballs at them. And it's pointless, but it's super fun. There's literally no gameplay. It's just paper toss.
That's
You're
not
just
completely true.
Throwing balls at Pokemon. There's gyms.
There's gyms.
Which is just a tap game. So the whole point is pretty much just to catch Pokemon. At least that's what most people are playing for at this point, I feel.
But I haven't even been able to do that because all of the gyms around me, the lowest level Pokemon in there is like 890.
Yeah.
Hey, you gotta play
And
more,
my
son.
highest level guy is 193.
Wow.
And I'm catching literally everyone that I find.
Get out of here.
So
That's terrible.
and I'm level 6.
So
And that's the best that I've been able to do because I'm not willing to go outside and brave the near 100 degrees of this disgusting Texas weather.
All
It's
right.
just it's not worth it. I can stay inside and play Overwatch or World of Warcraft or
Hey,
any of these games.
I was right there with you last week. I was like, this Pokemon game, terrible, trash. I'm a changed
you
man.
did not want to talk about that at all last week.
Hallelujah!
It was so funny.
I've seen the light. It's a terrible, terrible game. It's awful. The servers are trash. I am in love. Like, it's so hard for me not to like pull over at every park that I see and be like, how many Pokestops are here? Yeah, I'll get out of my car and walk around. Like, it adds like 45 minutes to every trip that I've ever had. Like, it's terrible.
I just want to say something before we get too much further away from you saying hallelujah that you have seen the light. To attribute Pokemon Go to the works of God is what perhaps the worst misattribution one could make in this life.
No, it's equal. Niantic,
They're pretty much the
full
same
of
thing.
grace.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not religious. I don't know what words I'm saying. Don't
Iwata
judge
is
me.
with thee.
Yeah, exactly. Iwata is with thee. We all know. I mean, that's
So-
a little dark, but I'm
Little
okay
bit.
with it.
So
Rest
I'm
in
a
peace.
level 16. I'll give the quick rundown. I'm a level 16 Mystic. I've caught
Team
62.
Mystic.
That
I
means-
currently have 62 Pokemon.
Team Mystic, right, means that you are one of 3 teams. There's Mystic, Instinct, and Valor. They each follow a specific color, and that color then leads to a Pokemon that you can get at the end. Theoretically,
I didn't know that,
is
but I
a
did that.
magical.
I did it with that understanding.
Pokemons,
Legendary
So,
Pokemon.
Yeah. So
I've
continue.
I've caught 60. I've seen 63. So my favorite thing about this game is that not only is like people like not only are people that typically would never give a crap about Pokemon playing it, like my bosses and stuff.
Yeah.
But Saturday morning, I got a text from my buddy James, and they were at the town like 15 minutes away. And they're like, yo, we're about to go Pokemon hunting if you want to go. So it ends up being this like 2 or 3 hour walk through Arcadia's campus. And like we're taking over gyms from like 12-year-olds.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then like random people are stopping you on the street. Like, how does this game work? I can tell you guys are playing it. Like, it has built this sense of, and I think I said it last week, it builds this sense of community that like would not have been there otherwise.
Yeah, no, it's an absolute cultural phenomenon.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've never seen as many people in my cemetery at 10:30 at night as I have since Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Like, I drive by the cemetery and I'm like, wow, it is poppin', as they say. Like, things are lit.
The
It
only
is
time that you will ever say
obsessed.
that about a cemetery.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's pretty great and terrifying, but I love it. I mean, I've never been walking down the street and somebody been like, yo, Hitmonchamp, down the street, go get that, man. It's awesome, dude. Found a Bulbasaur over there.
Stuff, man.
Like, people will just stop you and been like, have you seen this Bulbasaur? And I'm like, yeah, man, over around the corner. And it's like, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
But I love it. It's fantastic.
I was driving home. It was 2 a.m, and there's like a 7-Eleven, and then across the street there was like this bench on the other side of the road. Like, I live in this little town, and I saw on the map, I had it open, and there were all these lures. And I'm like, oh, it's probably
distracted driving kills people.
Yeah,
Chris.
Don't do it. We do not condone that.
You don't Pokemon and Go.
Platformers
You
podcast.
definitely don't Pokemon and Go. I just had it running, and I happened to glance down at it.
Oh, okay.
You sound like a PSA. Don't Pokemon and Go, kids. It's bad for business.
I like how that like subtly eased into your Herbert.
Yeah. Bad for business.
That was actually my Whataburger dude voice.
Oh, okay. But anyway,
It wasn't really. I just I hybridized it. Don't worry about it.
so I see these lures like in the street, and I was like, oh, okay, it's probably somebody in an apartment, that lives along the street. And with that, I pull up. There's like 10 people just sitting around this bench. Like, they're probably like in their mid-30s, like all guys. But 2 a.m. I was like, I never would have seen that otherwise, especially in my town. It's a very quiet town. It was just really funny to see.
Bunch of dudes in their 30s hanging outside of an apartment playing Pokemon.
It was like a ski shop too. Like, it wasn't even like, it was just some random shop. And I was like, whatever.
It's just all dark. Bunch of random people. Faces illuminated from the phones. That's our future, boys.
You can't even see their hands.
Yeah, that's it. That's the future.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
The future is going to be a slightly similar but skewed version of what happened at the end of WALL-E. We're not going to be incapacitated in chairs. We're all going to be jacked out of our minds from all the running and walking that we've been doing. But our arms are going to be like a T-Rex arms, because all we have to do is hold our phones to our face so we can play Pokemon Go.
Do you
love it.
Do you follow Grimecraft on Twitter?
I don't. Grimecraft
No.
is, of course, the awesome DJ associated with Kinda Funny.
Yeah, he lives. He's outside
he's
of
done some
he's
stuff
in
with
San Francisco.
Yeah.
But he plays a lot of like EDM and like video game mashup.
He's
music
really
kind of
good,
things.
too.
He's really good. Really nice guy too. But he tweeted the other day. He was like, since Pokemon Go came out, I have lost 10 pounds.
Yeah.
And quit smoking. And then there was one other thing. He was like, when do I get to be the spokesperson for this game?
Yeah, he's basically the poster child for Pokemon Go. Yeah.
But
That's amazing.
Okay. So, as much as we all love talking about Pokemon Go, which I'm kind of over it, because I've got so many other things that I want to play more than it. And it just keeps, every time I try to start it up, it's like, oh, you couldn't get into the server, retry, and I'm just like, whatever.
well, dang, you've been very busy with what you've been playing lately.
Yeah.
That is true. So, but before we get into that, I want to finish up what Marty's been playing, because I know that he hasn't just been playing Overwatch inside in Pokemon Go.
You're absolutely right. So I've been playing Valiant Hearts, and it's
how would you describe Valiant Hearts to somebody who didn't know what it was?
so Valiant Hearts is a indie game from a major publisher. So it's Ubisoft,
Which is an interesting contradiction in terms.
So they developed a game engine called UbiArt, and they put out a couple games on it. Valiant Hearts is the only one I've actually played, and it's fun, it's cute, it's sad. It's kind of not a great game. Like, there was so much hype around it, and I just waited and waited. Then I think I got it on Games with Gold through Xbox, the free game of the month, and I was just like, yeah, I'll pick it up. And I really wanted to sit down and have this emotional experience after I played Inside. I was itching for that, and it just wasn't that.
Just so people know, Valiant Hearts is a side-scrolling kind of adventure-ish game set in World War I.
Yeah, so
it follows a couple of different characters.
It's super unique. Have you played it, Brian?
Yes, I've beat it.
Okay, yeah. So it's super unique, which I wanted. Like, I was super interested in the... I've said super too many times. I was really interested in the World War II aesthetic, and or World War I, excuse me, because no games are in World War I except this year. There's a bunch.
Yeah, I believe the subtitle, it's Valiant Hearts,
The Great War.
The Great War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's got a good through line, but I just felt like it was a very serious game that almost felt too cartoonish in some ways. Like they did this kind of weird,
like the graphical style.
No, like the characters, they felt goofy, and like I was in for this really like narrative-driven, focused story about these characters, and I just didn't get that at all.
Yeah.
Like that's what I had heard. Oh wow, it's really gonna make you think, and like it's super sad and really driven, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm super excited for that. And then it wasn't. It was just like a cartoonish, goofy game, and like I've just been definitely put off by those lately. I'm kind of done with the cartoony games. Like I don't know.
I mean, I would say just if you're going into it and you want that sort of experience, just make sure that you understand that it's like watching a game that takes place in another language when they don't tell you what people are saying, because that's literally exactly what it is.
Yeah, everyone's speaking French or German.
And I don't think there are any subs, are there?
No subs. They do speak English a little bit.
Subs, short for subtitles.
Yes.
For the uninitiated.
They speak English here and there, but it's like, hey, oh, hey, like that kind of stuff. Like they don't, it's not
It's
meant
like the
to
old
be.
Lego Star Wars games.
Exactly. It's not meant to be listened to. It's just not. So
it's definitely a game of show rather than tell, because you see the things happening to the characters on screen, and you see the fact that they're sad about it. And if I recall correctly, the music is actually quite good.
Yeah, the music is all right. And the thing that I liked the most about it was they have like these facts. So every new mission, you can open up like a little journal type thing, and it just tells you how many people were involved in this battle, or what happened, where the war was at this point, and that's super cool. I really need to stop saying super now that I've known that. But yeah, it's really, really, really fascinating to learn about the Great War. Like, I haven't really been. I love history, but that's, I don't know, just a part of history that I'm lacking in, and they do a great job of that. But I was almost playing to get to the next page of facts, and that's kind of a weird thing to say. Like,
especially in that kind of game, like that, that aesthetic.
Yeah, I could have just went to Wikipedia. So, I don't personally recommend it unless you like that cartoony aesthetic in a game. I didn't. So yeah, it was alright though.
If you want kind of a focused journey on like what it might have looked like for, one particular family, let's say, going through the different things that happen and collateral damage and that sort of a thing in World War One, as long as you're okay with it being slightly exaggerated, and by slightly I mean in some cases ridiculously exaggerated, like when you're driving the car and you're being attacked by planes, like there's no way you're getting away from that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just super. Wow, super. Oh my goodness. But yeah, it's blown out of proportions. And not in a good way, I don't find. Normally, I can really get behind like an exaggerated story that's telling me this fascinating thing, but it was just random almost. It felt like it was a couple different people making this game, as in like different directors. Like it was halfway through the game, it like changed focus and then changed focus again, and I never really felt like I was being driven towards anything. That's just my take on it.
Isn't some of it like based on actual like stories?
A ton of it
that happened. Okay.
Yeah,
but
I thought I remember like hearing that.
Yeah, they're based on,
like
air
loosely.
quotes.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
sure.
like I mean, at one point, I don't think this spoils anything, but like Brian said, you're driving a car with like 6 people in it, dodging zeppelins and like bombs dropping and stuff.
Yeah, like I doubt that actually happened.
Yeah, well, the other thing is like I didn't want an arcadey experience. And that's what I got. Like, you never shoot a gun. You throw grenades all the time. Like, I didn't feel like a soldier in any way. I wanted that, like, boots on the ground, soldier in World War I feeling, which...
Yeah.
And I wanted it to be a beautiful story. Like, that's what I expect from an UbiArt game, right? Like, you wanted it to be this indie, beautiful story, and it just was kind of nothing. It was kind of like an arcade joke. So I don't know. Yeah, just not a fan. I didn't mean to be so harsh on it.
That's fine. I mean, it's you feel how you feel.
Yeah.
I think. Here's a question for you, just a real quick question. Did you play Child of Light?
I played half of it and I really liked it, and then something else came out. I do not finish
I think
games.
if you're looking at UbiArt games, that is another one, and also the recent Rayman reboots have been made in the UbiArt engine. That's a fantastic engine, and I love it.
Yeah.
I think that Valiant Hearts, if you're not a history buff or a war buff or interested in that sort of a thing, and you're purely going into it for a story, I think that Valiant Hearts would suffer when you compared it to something like Child of Light, which has all the gameplay elements that you would expect from like a small JRPG kind of indie style published game.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it has all the chops when it comes to storytelling as well.
Exactly.
Like Child of Light has a fantastic story, and not only that, but all of the lines in the game rhyme. So it's like a nursery. It's really fantastic.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful game.
Yeah.
My problem with not to disagree, but when you said like if you're not a history buff or a war buff, like that I'm definitely a history buff. Like I love that. Like I love history, and I love I don't love war, but I really am intrigued by it, like what the soldiers are going through and how that feels. And I think that's why I didn't like Valiant Hearts, is because that's what I was expecting. And like that's like why I said I really enjoyed the facts. Like, and when I say facts, they do like 6 things, and it's like it has something to do with the level you're in, but it's not really. So like they have like a whole thing on chlorine gas, but then you're like solving puzzles to like turn off chlorine gas, and it's like it didn't feel real at all. It felt goofy how I was turning these off even. So like I got no level of
like authenticity out of
exactly.
it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Which the crazy thing about that is that once you go, and I played through the whole game, as I said before, and I read all of those things, and if you're looking for a unified experience, I definitely understand where you would feel like it fell short, because when you go from the game and then it pops up a notification of, hey, you unlocked a new like letter or something like that, you read real letters. It's like pictures of real letters from people from one to another, pictures of like the piles of bodies, and like it's like all real stuff.
Oh,
so
wow.
you go from 0 to 60 instantaneously, and it's like really disturbing. Like some of the stuff that they show you, it's like really, really horrible stuff. So I can understand like if that's what you're going in to get out of the actual gameplay. That's definitely not the case. However, I found it very helpful because I didn't actually know a whole lot about World War One, and so I actually learned quite a bit through this. So being somebody who's not particularly a history buff or a war buff, I actually liked it a little bit more. I assumed that somebody being more into this sort of a thing would get more out of it, but perhaps you're going in with different expectations, and that's obviously going to color your experience. So that's interesting.
Yep.
Okay, well, if you guys don't have any more thoughts about that, I'll go into what I've been playing.
Yeah.
So I've been a busy boy. Since we started the podcast, I actually have been meaning to talk about these games because I started them. The Steam Summer Sale happened a couple weeks ago, and I picked up a bunch of games because I just built this PC. I was totally ready to hit the ground running, get a lot of indie games in. I'd heard a lot of things about some of these games, and pretty much all of them really impressed me. So I played through Her Story, which I think came out the same year as Metal Gear Solid 5 and The Witcher 3, and picked up some Game of the Year awards.
Yep.
And having played through it now, I definitely see it is really cool. And it was really inexpensive during the sale. I don't know how much it is now, but during the sale, I think I picked it up for like $3. So just so you know, Her Story is a very interesting game. It is, I think technically it is an FMV game, which stands for full motion video, which means basically there were video clips recorded and then they're being played back via the mechanic of the game. So basically at the beginning of the game, you fire it up and it powers up an old monitor. And the old monitor is framed in such a way that it looks like you, as the actual individual playing this computer game, is sitting in front of an old monitor, and it's got a search engine in front of it, and it's got 5 videos lined up, 5 video clips, and you can click on them, and then it plays, and it is one-sided audio of a young woman answering questions asked to her by a detective investigating a case. And that's literally all the game is. So you sit there, and there's like a desktop with a couple of things that you can interact with, but mostly it's just this particular interface, and you can search any word that you want, and they're all words that have been said in this video. So, like, for example, you watch there's 5 videos that are pulled up at any one time. It restricts your what am I trying to say? Your recall. So, like, you type in a word, like you say the, and then it'll pull back. It'll pull up the first 5 videos in the archive that have the word the in it, or whatever. You know, you put murder in there, it's going to pull up the first 5 in there. So then you can start to click through, and she's like telling a story and answering these questions. You never hear the questions that the detective asks, but you can kind of infer, you know, what's being inquired about. So she'll say, oh, we went down to this bar and met with this person and this person. And so then I had a notepad next to me, and I wrote down those names, and then I searched for their names next. And so bit by bit, you just start to unravel the story, and you can quit whenever you want. But the goal for me going into it was I wanted to figure out exactly what was going on.
Yeah, of course.
Because you'll use a couple, and then you'll start to see, wait, what is going on here? What is happening? And then you just want to go deeper and deeper and deeper, and you really feel like a detective piecing through a case, even though, you know, all of these videos have already been recorded, so I'm not able to ask her any more questions.
Yeah.
But I can go back and research, you know, what happened. And so I didn't...
Sorry, is there actually, like, an end game? Like, do you, like, eventually, like, if you were to figure out
there's no
what
kill
it is?
screen.
Okay, that's what I wasn't sure of. It's just
kill
like you
screen
get the
just-
satisfaction of knowing, like, what happened?
Yeah, there's no failure state. There's no way you can lose at this game. There's also no...
Kill screen, for those
ending,
that don't know,
ending,
kill screen just means end of the game, right? You beat the boss, you finish the last mission, you game over, right? The end credits
roll, and yeah.
Yeah, and he's saying there's no end game to this. In a way.
The game ends when you want it to, but there is a way that you can control when the credits roll.
I love
and
watching you try to, like, sidestep around this. No spoilers.
Well, I don't
no
want to give. Yeah, I don't want to give any spoilers, but it's the way that the game can end is really interesting.
Okay.
Like, if you have some time and that sounds interesting at all, definitely. If you like mysteries,
how long is like each video?
Oh, they go from like 2 seconds to like maybe a minute and a half is the longest one.
Oh, that's it?
There's
so
quite
it's a
a few
short
of them, though. Right?
There's a lot of videos.
Yeah.
Oh,
there's
okay.
a lot of videos.
Yeah. Only 5 at a time, but there's a lot.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
there's only 5 at a time. So you have to... So, like, some tricks are, like, figure out which words you want to pick out that you want to look into. It's pretty straightforward as long as you just, like, look at it like keywords and stuff.
Think of it detective style.
Yeah, just think, okay, well, I want to know about this person. Let me see what she has to say about this person.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's $6 on Steam right now. $6, not too bad.
$6,
wow.
Yes. And it's not going to be on console anytime soon. Probably not ever, because you need to use your keyboard to type in the terms and things like that, and your mouse to navigate all that sort of stuff. So if you have a PC, I don't know if it's available on Mac. It is a fantastic game. I highly, highly recommend it.
That's awesome.
It was definitely worth my time, and I couldn't stop. So I played it all through in one sitting.
Awesome.
Now the other one we've got, which you've played, that I I need to know what is going on. Just
Okay.
by the title alone.
Okay.
What is this Pony Island business? Because you keep talking about this
Okay.
game, and I looked up. I googled it. I clicked Google Images, and it's like pixel art, and I'm like, I have no idea.
Okay. Actually, let me just look this up.
So while you're doing that, Her Story is available on Mac as well.
Oh,
cool.
fantastic.
Yep. So Windows and Mac, pick it up.
Pony Island game. Yes. Yes.
It's pretty fantastic. So tell us about it. Tell us what you think, what you thought. Mr.
Have you
Brown.
played it, Marty?
I have seen some gameplay. I have not played through it.
I'm gonna Google this while you
Okay.
go.
Now, did you Google Pony Island game or just Pony Island?
Pony Island. Well, so first I googled Pony Island, and
And then that's gonna bring back some weird stuff.
I got a lot of weird stuff. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Safe
That's
search, kids.
mostly from the game.
Yeah, actually, that's true. But then a lot of it isn't. Okay, so Pony Island is a really interesting game, because you start it up and like as soon as you start it up, you're like, what the heck is this? This is basically the first 3 games that I'm going to talk about that I played are all kind of throw you for a loop games. Pony Island is an old arcade game in the universe of this game. Like, it's not actually an old arcade game, but in the fictional universe of Pony Island is an old arcade game.
Fair enough.
And as you play through it, stuff starts to kind of break and behave very strangely.
Let's say what kind of game it is. You're playing an arcade game, and it's a puzzle
Okay.
game, necessarily, is the only way that I would say it, is it's a puzzle game, right?
No, I wouldn't say that at all.
But
I would say that
you
it's,
have to figure out how to
it's
get
a-
to the next screen, right?
it's a sage based it's a runner game.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you start the level and your pony starts running from left to right. And then there are things that you're going to have to hop over, and then there are things that you're going to have to shoo away from you. Or get rid of you that might be in the air. So you're going from left to right, and until you hit the finish pole at the end of each level, you're just going to have to dodge these obstacles. And you've got a jump ability, and you've got another ability, and that's really pretty much it.
Yeah.
And the wheels kind of start to come off the bus pretty soon, and then the game becomes totally about a ton of other things. So that's really all that I can say about that without getting too spoilerish.
Yeah. I mean, you can I think it's fair to say that when you say break, the game then becomes not about the running at all. I mean, it's a story-driven runner, I think is a fair way to put it. And not all the game is running. I'd say about half the game is running, maybe. Yeah?
I need to try this game. Like, I'm just
Yeah.
watching the gameplay. Like, I'm watching footage right now on YouTube, and like, it looks super weird. Like, it looks like everything's just running in like an old DOS terminal.
Yeah.
But,
Yes. Yeah.
It's kind of legit. Like, this is my style.
And it was another really inexpensive game when I
Yep.
picked it up.
Yeah.
I imagine
Steam
it
sale
still
it was
is.
super cheap. If it's regular price, $4.99.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah,
so
another
you
cheap
can
one.
get these games, quick experiences for not a lot of money.
And about how long would you say it is?
A couple hours.
I think that entirely depends on your.
It also
Problem
really
solving
depends on your
skills.
on your
Yes.
skill. There are some weird puzzles that you have to solve, and some of them require not only brains but dexterity.
Yeah.
So that's
Interesting.
the last puzzle was real rough for me.
This is definitely not a game for people that like runners, if that makes sense. Like, if your favorite game is like.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
Like I can't really describe it without spoiling too much, but it's so good.
All right, let's talk about what else you've been playing.
Okay, so let's just real quick go over. Let's real quick go over Dark Souls Artorias of the Abyss, because I had finished Dark Souls, the original Dark Souls, but I had not finished the DLC.
Okay.
Is that
so
what
I went
this is?
back. Yes.
Okay.
Artorias of the Abyss is the DLC for the original Dark Souls, and I had played. At this point I've beaten Bloodborne and all of the DLC, Dark Souls 3, and the DLC isn't out yet, and I've beaten Dark Souls 2, and then I beat 1, and so now I did the DLC for 1. Now I'm gonna go beat the DLC for 2. And then I'll just wait until the DLC for 3 comes out. I don't know why I've played things in this weird order.
Yeah, we've heard
at this
that.
point you might as well stick with it.
Yeah, so it's fine.
Was it any good?
Some of the fights were pretty interesting. A lot of people say that Artorias, particularly the Artorias fight, is the
I'm
best
assuming
fight
that's a boss.
It is a boss.
Okay.
Artorias is a boss of Dark Souls, and I was first of all I was expecting him to be the last boss, and he actually isn't.
Okay.
There are I want to say there's 2 bosses after him, and he's not. There's not really any lead up. It's very unceremonious, so I was not expecting that given the lore and love surrounding this character. But it was a good fight. It was tough. I think it took me maybe 3 tries to beat him.
Okay. Wow.
Which is not a whole lot. I mean, I've one-shot a bunch of bosses in Dark Souls. And then there are a couple. There's a fair number of bosses throughout the whole series of the Souls games and Bloodborne that took me way more than 3 tries to kill.
Yeah, of course, right?
Typically, it takes me maybe 5 or so to kill a really hard boss.
Yeah.
It typically doesn't take me that much.
So he definitely wasn't the end-all, be-all of bosses, in your opinion?
No, but at the same time, when he came out to people who played the original Dark Souls, I mean, he was maybe the 15th boss or something like that of this sort well, actually I take that back because Demon Souls came out before.
Yeah.
But there weren't as many bosses, and then Dark Souls 2 came out and they got 20 something bosses in that game.
Yeah, so it's just a sign of the times, right? You're going back and playing something that's...
I'm going back and playing something older, and there's several fights that were inspired by Artorias.
Okay.
Like the Abyss Watchers in Dark Souls 3, and Maria of the Clock Tower.
I like how you actually know
Bloodborne.
these bosses' names. It's amazing.
That's crazy. Anytime I've heard anybody talk about Dark Souls, they typically don't. They can't do that.
Yeah, they're like, oh, it was the
Really?
boss with the tentacles on
There's the crab
bridge. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I'm
pretty proud of
I'm
you.
not that. Okay, I
You're
appreciate
Partner
that.
obsessed. You are
Yeah,
obsessed with Dark Souls.
Yeah.
I am not obsessed,
It's like a
but I will
third
play
of the stuff you
everyone
talk about in the podcast.
Yeah.
just because I feel like everybody needs to know how great it is.
Everyone
and
knows,
I'm-
trust me.
And I'm really excited to play through the Dark Souls games with Chris. We got to do this.
I know.
Yeah.
We
gotta
have
do
to
this.
schedule this.
Are we doing this week? Can we do it before the next time we podcast?
We will talk. We will talk.
All right, so be on the lookout for that. They're going to do a stream. Head over to the Twitch and whatnot. We'll let you guys know where that's going to be.
I'm gonna have to buy everything on PC so that I can help him through this stuff.
Exactly.
I'm gonna Sherpa
So
some
rough.
souls.
So very
I'm
rough.
so right, dude. It's so good. It's
Yeah, but
so
not
good.
only is it going to be difficult, but I also am terrible with a mouse and keyboard. So it's just going
Plug
to be
that
bad for
controller
so
in,
many
bro.
reasons.
Plug that
hook up an
controller
Xbox
in, bro.
One controller, dude. That's what I do.
The
I
end,
feel like it'd be funnier with a mouse and keyboard.
it might be.
Yeah,
It's
okay,
wow,
it'd be
this
funnier.
is just hopeless. I'll do it once and
don't-
then I'll plug in the controller.
Yeah, you don't do the what is it? Do the Undead Asylum
Okay.
mouse and keyboard, and then switch once you get to Firelink Shrine.
Right.
We still have no idea what you're talking about. So anyway, let's
it's-
let's wrap this up. What else you been playing? I want to get to some news, man.
Okay. So the other thing that I was playing that I picked up on the super cheap, it was like $6 or $7 during the summer sale, was South Park: The Stick of Truth.
Oh, you played this on PC?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't know if you had so for those the unaware, if you pre-order South Park: The Fractured But Whole digitally, you can get The Stick of Truth for free on PS4, Xbox One, PC.
Yep.
Or if you get the physical copy, you get it when Fractured But Whole comes out.
Quick aside, also Dishonored is doing the same thing. If you buy Dishonored
really?
2. Yes, and that's going to be limited, though. So if you like Dishonored, don't have it on a current gen, or want it on PC, now would be a time to grab Dishonored 2.
That's cool.
Sorry,
I didn't know that.
quick aside over. So tell us about South
Yeah, what'd
Park.
you think of it?
So I'm gonna put some stuff out there.
Okay. I have lots of things about this game, so.
Okay. So, South Park: The Stick of Truth is a turn-based role-playing game where you control a new kid whose family has just moved to the town of South Park. Now, for those of you who don't know what South Park is, where have you been
For the last 20
For
years.
the 20 years, yeah.
And South Park is a cartoon.
Who are we telling this at this
Yeah,
point?
really. I mean, it's
Who
a
are you-
cartoon
who are you
it's a cartoon
explaining
on
this
Comedy
to?
Central that everybody gets offended by. Like, that's really
Yes.
that's what it is.
The end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm totally fine with it because they're an equal opportunity offender, like Family Guy,
Yeah.
which is a show that I also don't watch. So I snuck watching some episodes of South Park when I was a kid, and I'd be like at my grandma's house or something like that. I would sneak out to the room and just watch that late at night. But I never really super got into it. I've seen maybe a dozen or so episodes of the show.
That's it? Oh my god. Okay. So
I'm not a South Park super fan.
yeah.
But I do like RPGs, and I was told that this is a really great game.
Yeah.
So I approached it from that perspective.
And
And I couldn't put it down.
okay.
I loved it. The mechanics are so great. There are a bunch of different things that you can do. It's for the one person out there listening to this who's going to get this reference. The battle system is turn-based, but while you're attacking, there are different inputs that you can do to boost the damage that you do in your attacks, which is very much like The Legend of Dragoon for PlayStation 1.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which was one of my favorite RPGs on PS1, which is saying something because Final Fantasy 9 and 8 and 7 are on PS1. I liked them more as they went on, just so you know. As a quick aside, Final Fantasy 9 is better than Final Fantasy 8 is better than Final Fantasy 7. That's where I stand on that.
Anyway.
They're all terrible
We'll get
old
into that.
RPGs nobody cares about anyway.
Ooh, snap. Anyway, so basically what I'm saying is I have no great love for South Park. I appreciate its cultural impact and the fact that a lot of people really love it. But the funny thing is that even given that I've watched like that many episodes of it, I think I recognized every character in it with the exception of like maybe 2 characters.
Okay.
Like I know Mr. Mackey, I know Mr. Slave, Jesus was in it, the priest was in it, the cop, Officer Bar Brady.
I'm glad you
Normal
picked up on
people.
Jesus.
Yeah. I noticed Jesus, the character from South Park.
Not the Bible.
Well, they're different people, like
Yeah.
clearly. Jesus is ridiculous in this game.
Coming from somebody who, I mean, I started watching South Park like way younger than I should have because my brothers watched it. And, but I mean, so I've seen probably all but the last season, I think. They're all on Hulu if anybody ever wants to watch them. But the amount of fan service, like going all the way back to season 1, like they have like Scuzzlebutts in there, and who's a character
No
from
idea.
the first season. He's like this, like almost like an abominable snowman kind of guy, and just like the little things, like you go into Cartman's closet and it's literally just this treasure trove of references. Like awesome.
Yeah, those were all things that I didn't get. I heard a lot of people talk about everything that was in everybody's closets being a bunch of references, and I recognized like maybe one or two things.
Oh my gosh! And like Cartman has the sea monkeys like in his bedroom, and
I recognize that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Brian. Like I've never really watched South Park. I mean, I've seen episodes. I just didn't really think it was funny. Maybe I just didn't get it, but I didn't play the Stick of Truth just because everyone was like, it's RPG light. And like you guys said, it came out with like The Witcher and stuff, and I'm like,
that's why I liked it so much.
Stick of Truth. Like, why would I play RPG light when I had these?
So, but there's a big difference between an action RPG like The Witcher and a turn-based RPG like South Park.
You're right.
And there's definitely room for both.
And South Park is definitely made for the RPG player like me who, like, I have Fallout 4. I probably like. I got the Pip-Boy edition. I love that universe. I've probably invested 8 hours into that game total. Like, it's my everlasting gobstopper. But like, I don't have the attention span for it. South Park does that thing. You and
everyone else.
Oh, I know. But South Park
I
did such a
1,000 pointed
good
it
job
on Xbox.
Like,
so
did you
Fallout
really?
4?
Yeah, I did.
Jesus.
That game was terrible.
I played it right after The Witcher 3, and let me tell you, CD Projekt Red knows more about open world RPG making than Bethesda does.
I have it right here. I haven't started The Witcher yet because of that.
You've never
it's still
played
in the
it?
shrink wrap. No, it's in the shrink wrap. It's right next to me.
Oh, Chris.
Yeah, I'm
Chris.
waiting to play more Fallout 4 because I know as soon as I play The Witcher, it's going to be the end of time.
Don't.
Let me just
pointless.
Let me tell you something. Let me give you a word of advice.
Let's hear it,
Brian. From somebody who has played and beat Fallout 4, The Witcher 3, all the Dark Souls games, which are also action RPGs. Play The Witcher before you play Dark Souls.
Why is that?
Because if you're anything like me, The Witcher is going to feel real clunky in the combat area after you play Dark Souls.
Oh, okay.
I disagree in a way because The Witcher is the combat's kind of clunky, but not really. Like, it's really fast paced, and it's got a lot of.
It's not bad. I played it before I really got into Dark Souls, and I loved it.
It's super fast. It's super skill based. I need to stop saying super, so it's not super. But the game is
the title of this episode is going to be the Super Podcast.
Excellent.
So just say it all you want.
Super. It's more about like Geralt as a character, and in Dark Souls it's definitely more about like dodge rolling, like you say, Brian, right? Like, yeah. So I think the combat is way more.
It's all
fun
about those
for me.
iframes, man.
Yeah, the Witcher is way more fun in combat for me than Dark Souls, and like Dark Souls for me is like it's almost like a technical demo. It's like a test in my technical gameplay.
Prowess. Yeah.
Yeah, and The Witcher is
which
like
is
fun.
why I like it more.
XXX rolling around, stabbing ghouls and fighting like 15 things at once. Like, it's definitely a different thing. There's magic, and obviously there's magic in Dark Souls, but it's a little different. In The Witcher, it's not necessary, but it makes stuff way more fun. And so, yeah, like I don't really think you need to prioritize one or the other. Personally, Brian might be right there, but
my other problem with it is just all I keep hearing about is how freaking long that game is. Like,
The Witcher?
It's just that it's just
The
like
Witcher's
hours
like
upon hours upon hours.
It's like a 20-hour game if you play it, but
Right.
you won't.
Right.
Because you're going to be in that world and be like, oh my god, I need to save this village from this random ghost
like,
monster. Yeah.
I am that guy who I play an Ubisoft game and I have to clear everything off the map, so I know I'm going to get into that.
If you have to clear, listen, you cannot do that with The Witcher, because that is like
actually,
a full-time job for 3
You
weeks.
can, because that's what I did.
Yeah, you can. I mean, you can, but
just,
it turns the game into like work.
But
which is fine. Like, it's fun, but
that's what I like about South Park, though, was I was able to go through it and complete it and do everything I needed to do, and it was only a 20-hour experience. Like, and I was done. Like, I did everything.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't know if you're going to stream The Witcher, but you should definitely stream some Dark Souls, because I want to do that. I want to do that real bad.
If only to get you off my back about it.
Yes, I'm going to keep pestering you until we do it. And I want to go through all of them. Even if it's like, even if you want to take a back seat on some of the other stuff. Like if you don't have
Brian
Bloodborne
just
or
wants
something
you
like
to
that.
watch him play Dark Souls at this point.
Just sit
we
next
can
to me
do-
and let me talk about it while
Yeah.
I play. That'd be super.
The thing about this is that a lot of people are intimidated by how difficult Dark Souls is. Dark Souls doesn't have to be difficult.
Yeah.
No, you just have to know how to play
you
it.
can, or you can summon people to help you. Like there are so many ways to like get through it.
That's like
super
little brother
easy.
mode. Like, will you beat this boss, please?
Brian, can you take me through the dungeon? I don't know
Yeah.
what I'm doing.
You knocked that, but I
Exactly.
did that for my little sister a lot when we were kids.
There you go. There you go. All right, so I think that's
Okay.
everything that we've played. Yeah.
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 Let's get into
Yeah.
the news.
Yeah. Let's talk about a little news. So you guys want to talk about that NES Classic?
Yeah.
I do.
So I've got
because
some
I
of the,
feel
uh,
like
oh.
I feel like everybody else on the internet had the exact opposite reaction
Well, so
to NES Classic as me.
what the NES Classic
Marty, what is the okay?
Oh, sorry.
Tell us,
I
Chris.
have the page up.
You do it, Chris. I like it.
Oh. So the NES Classic Edition is a retro blast from the past, according from Nintendo. So what it is it's a mini NES.
Don't give me the PR speak. Tell me what it
It's a
actually
mini
is.
NES. It's got 30 games in it. It retails at $60. It comes out November 11th. Some of the notable games on it: all three Mario Brothers, Punch Out, Donkey Kong, Dr. Mario, any like typical Nintendo game that you would expect.
First party, big.
Yeah,
Nintendo
first
game,
party
yeah.
stuff.
Does it have Tetris?
It does not have Tetris. I was surprised at that. It has Mega Man 2
it have
and not
Duck-
3. It does not have DuckTales.
Does it have Duck Hunt?
Oh,
No, it does have DuckTales.
It does. No, it doesn't.
Really?
Yeah, trust me.
I think
was
that was like one
heartbroken.
of the major. Yeah.
No,
I, thought
I
that
was
was in the
heartbroken. It's
announcement.
not on there.
Wow.
Yeah, I was very upset about that.
That's
so
ridiculous.
in light of all of this, well, I won't get into that just yet. What are your thoughts on all this, on this whole thing? Because this is very not Nintendo for them to make a product like this.
It's not. I feel like it's icky almost. Like it just doesn't seem right. I don't know. Like I'm with a lot of people that say it's cool. That's great. But first of all, there's like emulators, there's Raspberry Pi, there's other ways to get around this. And the fact that it's not connecting to the internet, it's not expandable memory. It's like literally just a plastic small little breadboard that has nothing to do like
So
it just seems like pointless to me.
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
For those of
Why
you like,
not-
if you're familiar with like the $20 like arcade Pac-Man machines you used to buy in like the mid 2000s, or like 2000 2010.
Yeah.
It's like that, but Nintendo made it.
Yeah, which it just feels wrong. I just don't like it. But I don't know. Maybe it's gonna be cool. But
I really
mean,
think
Scott-
they're missing out on an opportunity to not include like a shop where you can just purchase more of these games for like a dollar.
and why
$1
is it
each.
NES Classic? Why is it not? Here's a Super Nintendo. I didn't say I had to say Super that time. It was part of the title. I wasn't just saying it was Super. But
No, I'm fine with it being NES.
that's fine, I guess. But like, make something. Are they going to release a Super NES with another 30 games?
A mini Super
Yeah,
NES?
yeah. What are they going to like? What? I just don't like that. Like, I wish they would just give you like a internet connected $100 device that came with 60 games on NES, NES or SNES, and has the ability to have a shop or a store or whatever you want to call it. Like, it just feels like a plastic throwaway to me.
It's a quick Christmas gift.
I guess, yeah.
I mean, that's
like-
exactly holiday gift. Sorry, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
But
So my thoughts on this are, first of all, it's only these 30 games.
Right.
They're built in. You can't play any other games. You can't download any other games. It doesn't connect to the internet. Anything like that. Which is whatever. It's basically a first party official version of those cheap machines that you get at mall kiosks.
yeah,
Is basically what it is. It's 30 games in one. You plug it in to your HDMI port. You get all the games in HD, which doesn't matter because these are all
how dare
low res
you.
games. It doesn't matter.
There's
Chris.
nothing like seeing an HD pixel. Come on.
I mean,
Okay,
it
it's
does
gonna
make
look
them
super
look better.
clean, but guess
Throw
what? They're
DuckTales in
still
a
the
Restaurant
same
5
games.
and tell me how you feel afterwards.
But correct me if I'm wrong. You can get all of these games on a Wii U if you have them, and you can get a large number of these games on 3DS if you have them.
I think so, yeah.
Probably all of them, actually.
I would say all of them, yeah.
I would say all of them, yeah.
I will tell you, I have what I consider to be every important game from this list.
Now, here's the thing, though.
Being Zelda 1 and 2, Mario Brothers 1 through 3, Metroid, Kid Icarus.
The important ones.
The important games. I have all of them on my 3DS.
We are the exception to that rule. Like, I have a Wii U, you have a Wii U. Marty doesn't because he's a PC hater. But
wait, what? I mean, no, I have a PS4. I have an Xbox One. I'm a Nintendo hater.
You can download all these on an emulator.
Right. But what I'm
illegally.
saying is... illegally if you're doing it on a PC with an emulator. But
no, it's legal because I own all these games.
That's
some gray area. But go ahead.
It's not gray. I own these games. I'm making backups officially.
Yeah, I mean that's.
But you're
what
not
they
though.
Technically call it if you want to go that far. But
all right, well, whatever.
So regardless,
we'll talk about emulators and piracy and those things.
This is meant for the guy, the Kevin Shriver, my brother, the guy who's like, "Yo, I read this article," and like, completely out of the loop with any of this stuff unless I tell him about it. And he's like, "I read this thing that you posted on Twitter that I can play like Super Mario and it's only $60," and he thinks it's like a deal. Sorry, Kevin, if you're listening to this.
Is he from Boston?
He thinks he's a gangster.
Oh, like a gangster Boston.
He's like the coolest person I know.
Hey.
Yeah, he's like, hey, how you doing? Nah, he's not really like that. But
meatball sandwich.
But this is meant for the person who isn't, the live free and die hard Wii U fan or dying Wii U fan.
This is for my dad.
Exactly. Like this is that kind of gift. This was if your dad grew up with Nintendo and I want to get him a quick $60 gift. Here you go. Oh, remember Mario? Yeah, that was fun. Play it. Like,
see, I disagree with that. Even like if your dad grew up with Mario, because like if you grew up with Mario, you're us.
No, not necessarily. Not necessarily.
But
my
the
dad
average
played
age
like Zelda growing up.
The average age of a person that plays video games is like 36, 37 right now. Like it's older than a lot of people think.
Yeah.
So I mean, I definitely think this gift. That's my concern. Is like, I don't understand who this gift is for. Yeah. Like if you like these games, if you're a diehard fan of these games, you own them on Wii or Wii U, right? Even Wii had a virtual console.
Right.
Which was awesome because the gamepad was like perfect. I mean, obviously Wii U's fine too, but and now these games coming out for I feel like almost too much money. Like $60 seems
it's $2
like
a game.
Good, yeah. $2 a game that came out in the 80s. Yeah. And that's fine, but
well, that's if you like all the games.
Yeah, exactly. It just feels
if you're not playing each of them, then
yeah, I don't know. It just feels wrong.
I do like the fact that if you are a Wii U owner and you end up buying it, or a Wii owner, the controller it's an NES style controller, but the end of it is actually styled to like plug into a Wiimote. So you can actually plug that into a Wiimote, and like if you have those classic games on a Wii or a Wii U, you can play it on there.
That's cool.
And you can go and buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Now, something to keep in mind is, or I guess this is just where I was kind of coming from. I tweeted out and I said, when we said we wanted the old Nintendo back, this wasn't exactly what we meant.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Like, what I don't want to see this anymore. Every single time they come out with a new console, they make us rebuy the same games if we want to play them on the new console. They don't have a standardized account system like PlayStation or Xbox have. They have backwards compatibility with their new consoles, but not in a way that's meaningful. You can't plug in your old cartridges.
It's not good for the consumer.
It's not good for the consumer, yet I see all these people out on Twitter being like, oh man, I can't wait to buy this day one, take my money. I'm just like, are you guys so foolish that you are just going to keep buying and buying and buying all the stuff that we've already played?
So
like, I want Nintendo to come out with something new that looks awesome, like Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I want to see that game.
So I
don't want to see this old stuff.
Yeah. The typical Nintendo guy who bought every amiibo, literally every amiibo.
You bought every amiibo?
I have every Smash amiibo that came out so far.
Okay, at least
we're used to it, and I hate admitting that.
We got that guy.
Oh, yeah, I'm that guy. I'm totally that guy. But like, as a Nintendo guy, I'm used to it, and I'm not okay with it because like I go on PlayStation. Oh, I bought it on PS4. Great, I can play it on Vita. But this is the norm, and like they make so little content anymore that like I am chomping at the bit for like literally anything that they will put out. That's half the reason that so many people are freaking out about Pokemon Go is because it's the only thing worthwhile that they've put out since like.
But it's not even a Nintendo game. It's Niantic and the Pokemon company.
Agree with you. I'm just saying this is what we have.
Nintendo. It is Nintendo.
It's associated
it's
with a
owned,
Nintendo platform,
it's
but
owned
they don't.
by Nintendo.
They have a half stake in it.
Okay, yeah, but like the reason that their stocks went up so much, right, is because they are.
But I think that's a perception issue.
It is to a point, but
most people
they're making money
don't know
from
that,
the Pokemon company.
Yeah.
Yes,
regardless.
But we're not here. This isn't the stocks.
It might be.
Bonds.
We'll see where it
podcast.
goes. No.
Yeah.
But I think that's a major point. Is like they're putting these things out, right? Pokemon Go is a huge step forward. I think their mobile game platform is going to be huge when they figure that out. I don't understand why they're doing this NES Classic, right? When we could actually do this all on a phone. Every single game here could be thrown on a phone. That's true. And it's like
that's true.
They would make more money.
They
could put those out on iOS or Android for $2 a piece and make
millions.
And they would play like crap. Look at
They're,
Mega Man. Have you played Mega Man on an iPhone? It's freaking terrible. Like
yeah, but okay, but like you said, like Nintendo, when they actually give a chance, right? When they care, hopefully they're gonna make a good game. Like every single Nintendo game that has ever came out is polished, clean, maybe not great, but it's.
I don't think that's what Chris is talking about.
No. The point I'm trying to make is that you're limited by the hardware. Like in order, the only way that Nintendo is gonna put out, Super Mario on a phone legitimately is if they made a phone and it was like, oh, here's your controller set up and it pops out, or if they sold it and they said this is meant for this. Otherwise, you have your 8-bit duos and you have your Hyperkins, and they're going to make those products for you anyway.
Okay, but like the fact that an NES is way less powerful than your phone,
right?
Unbelievably less powerful.
Yeah.
So if Nintendo sold like a case, like you were just talking about, that slid out or something, right? Like just some controller attachment, whatever it may be,
right?
And then, like, if you buy that controller attachment, then you can play whatever games. Like, whatever, regardless. However they do it, they're smarter than me. That makes so much more sense to me than selling this $60 plastic junk that some people are excited for, but I don't think it's going to sell well. I really don't.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of those things that in March you'll see for, like, $20 or $30 at, like, a Bed Bath & Beyond.
Exactly. Exactly.
But here's my question.
Maybe we're wrong, but
I don't know.
And this cuts to the core of the issue. Even if this does sell well, even if this sells more than the Wii, what does it matter?
What do you mean? Money's money.
Regardless. No. This is in no way innovating. They're in no way moving forward as a company.
There are zero new games, which means that the problem of more Nintendo games still stands.
Yeah.
Nothing will have changed. The only thing that will have changed is that maybe they got more people interested in Nintendo, which might pay dividends when the NX comes out. But guess what? If they don't put out games, it's not going to matter.
You're right.
I wonder if that's part of the reason they're doing this, is they're trying to put themselves out there again. Like I feel like they've lost a lot of the spotlight, and they're trying to make people remember, oh yeah, we're still a thing.
I mean, I don't know. Nintendo is definitely, sorry to cut you off, Brian. Hopefully I didn't.
Okay.
I think Nintendo doesn't really need the spotlight. Nintendo's Nintendo, and everyone knows who they are.
Yeah.
The fact that they're not putting out new games to me, maybe I'm wrong. I'll definitely want to hear your thought, Brian. But the fact that they're not putting out new games is a huge problem. But if, let's say they do sell unreal amounts with this Classic Edition, that's just more capital that they're going to have to maybe hopefully innovate and put that money towards new games. I'm not sure how their company's set up. I don't know. But we can hope that they're going to use this money as forward progress, as innovation, if it even sells, which I'm not convinced that it will. But I just think that, like we've talked about, yeah, they got tons of money and they can stay afloat, but they're not profitable in a way that Xbox or PlayStation is. they're not selling their consoles like the other companies. So I hope that maybe this can provide like a little influx of cash, and they can be like, look, we sold this many classics. Let us take a risk and make a new Super Metroid game that people want to play. Let's make a new Donkey Kong that's going to actually be, amazing and a next-gen game and fit with what people want. Obviously, it would be a platformer, but fit with what people want rather than just making, Donkey Kong 1, throw it on a plastic toy, sell it for $60.
Okay. I mean,
where did I go wrong?
I feel like I've really stumbled across something here. Like, if the move that they're making with this, well, hold on, let me back up.
Okay.
I disagree with you. I don't think everybody knows Nintendo anymore. They've been borderline irrelevant for long enough that kids coming up now have a bigger attachment to things like Halo than they do with the classics. Mario doesn't sell. He doesn't have brand recognition like he used to.
Yeah, like I would, just to equate it, like kids are going to recognize Angry Birds more than they are Mario. I think. I don't know. I think that's the point you're trying to make.
Yes,
yeah.
It is. So, and because of that, let me just address a couple of things, just real rapid fire, and then I'll get into the meat of it. First of all, I think it's incorrect to say that everybody knows Nintendo. The people our age do, and the people our age will have that nostalgia for it, which is what they're trying to cash in on here. And apparently they're succeeding, because before I discussed this with you, Marty, I felt like I was one light in an ocean of darkness.
Gotcha.
So to speak. Not that this is an evil thing or, what have you, or this is terrible.
No.
If people are into it, that's cool. I just think this is completely unnecessary, and you can do so much of this so many other places.
Yep.
For ostensibly less money. Although this is a good deal if you're into all of the offerings. If you're into just a couple of games, I don't think it's worth the price of admission at all. Although, honestly, you'd be hard-pressed to find a way that didn't involve like several different layers of adapters to play a classic NES on an HD TV, and this would kind of bypass that if the games you want to play are on there. Let's just step away from that for the time being.
Okay.
Another point that you made was that this might give them more money to fund more innovations in the future. My argument is Nintendo already has a huge war chest. They could have been doing it up to this point. They haven't. I don't think this is going to change anything, unless the change in leadership that they had when Iwata passed already had them working on it, in which case this might help fuel the future, but they were already going to be moving in that direction anyway. And how much of the NX was already set before Iwata died anyways, I mean, we're not going to know. And people are already saying, once they're getting a hold of this NX, that, it's really... I think they said that like the head of Ubisoft, Yves Guillemot, got a hold of what the NX is, and he says that he's really looking forward to, to making stuff. But Ubisoft has always put their stuff on Nintendo consoles. They put their stuff everywhere. That's just how they do business. Yep. I don't think that necessarily says anything, and we don't even know if he's blowing smoke.
Bad, so I think it's just...
I don't think that makes any difference at all, because you'd still get something like Assassin's Creed 4 on Wii U, even though that is definitively the worst version of that game. Moving on from that...
Can I just say, about their war chest, like, I'm not a financial expert, nobody here is, obviously, but I think the fact that they are so stagnant right now is why they haven't been taking risks. Like, yeah, they have a huge war chest, but that's like, we need to stay afloat money. At least the way that I've seen it described in articles that I've read. Like, if they received a large influx of cash, like, they might be more willing to say, hey, look, this is why we got that influx of cash. These properties, let us actually use these properties and make something new and fresh and ready to go, rather than just, making the same few games. Which, obviously, that is what they would do from the classic, make the same few games, but maybe they would take and make a brand new Metroid when they've been sitting on that property for how long,
Oh my God, don't talk to me about Metroid. Don't talk to me about Metroid.
So I just really hope that this might, if anything, give them a little data and give them a little influx of cash to be like, look, okay, we know what we need to do with our properties on NX. We're gonna push these few properties. We're gonna really crank them out, and hopefully we get some new stuff.
In that light, one of the things I can't believe, just the fact that it can't connect to the internet, you would think that they'd be keeping track of, like, what's the most played game on this system, this little tiny box we're putting out. The thing probably costs, like, it can't cost more than $15 to produce.
Oh,
like,
God, no.
$20. Like, it can't. I can't believe they're not gathering, what are the 4 best-selling properties that aren't Mario that people will actually want to play? And how do we get like newer versions of that out there?
It would cost pennies. I mean, pennies to throw an N router in there.
Yeah.
Like, to throw a little N, not router, excuse me.
Well, a chip.
Yeah. Just pennies in the, how many they're doing here in bulk. Like, it's a joke to me that they're not thinking about that kind of stuff. I don't know.
All that stuff, notwithstanding, the thing for me is if all they're doing is trying to up their brand recognition and trying to get out there and get the classics, the games that really do stand the test of time, in front of new people to expose them to what Nintendo has the potential to be, to get more people interested in NX, people like me, or people... I don't even think it's for people like me because I'm pretty much just writing off everything Nintendo does. I really don't care anymore.
You'll wait and see, right? You're watching.
I hated.
E3, you're ready.
I hated the Wii. I hated all the games on the Wii. I didn't like Mario Galaxy. I didn't like Twilight Princess. I didn't like Metroid Prime trilogy. I didn't like. I can't think of a single game on Wii that I thought was any good at all.
Most people liked most of those that you just said.
I'm staying quiet.
That's the Metroid, but yeah.
That's fantastic, but I bled Nintendo colors.
Yeah.
Super Nintendo is one of my favorite consoles of all time. When they're on their A game, nobody does it like them. Or nobody did it like them.
I mean, they haven't.
They haven't
quite
been
some
on
time.
their A game for
So, and it just kills. And then Wii U, like, I'm gonna put it out there. They had some awesome games.
Mario 3D World
and on 3DS.
Yeah.
Mario 3D World is the reason I bought the Wii U. I played the heck out of that game. Mario Kart 8 is awesome.
So you liked 3D World, but you didn't like Galaxy?
No. No, I didn't like Galaxy. Yes, you are correct. I liked 3D World.
Gotcha.
3D World is awesome. And 3D Land for 3DS, I think, is even better.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they've really had some hits. The Fire Emblem games on 3DS are awesome.
Yeah.
The Pokemon games have been really good.
I would disagree with you there because they're just the same games. Like that's a big
true.
thing with innovation. Like they are
That is true.
So stagnant. I wanted to bring up a point about you talking about who the NES is actually pushed for. You were saying like it might help with brand recognition, but you got to look like these are straight up old games. Like they're only nostalgia. Like the way, even like the promotional website it looks like an 80s NES ad. Like if
does.
this is a retro blast from the past. Like if this is marketed towards newer kids trying to get their name out there, this is definitely, in my opinion, at least, not the way
think
to
it's
do it.
that.
This is 100% towards our age, or even people older than me.
Yeah,
people that saw these ads.
I think this is for people our age for sure, 100%. And with the retro ad campaign, they're definitely targeting that nostalgia bone. But I think that there is a spot for the hipsters out there of, oh, I like to play the old stuff. You can appeal to those sorts of people. For the games that have come out, like your Shovel Knights, like your other games, other indie games like that have gone back to, like your Undertales, like your...
Are you calling me a hipster? Is that what this is?
There are a lot of indie games that are coming out that have 8-bit aesthetic, and now those games, these particular style of retro games, might be more palatable than they were a couple of years ago during the 360 generation.
That's totally true.
I mean, I agree, but you're
true.
looking at people building these games, right, that are kids that grew up with this console, right? They grew up with the NES. and they grew up with the SNES. They played pixel art games, and they're building games like Shovel Knight. I don't know why I said building. It sounds weird. Developing games like Shovel Knight, right? But they're not for kids, really. Like when you look at those games are built by people our age and older, for people our age and older, and it's people our age and older that are playing them. So I really don't think that it's going to make games like Super Mario and Metroid and even like Ninja Gaiden and stuff. They're not going to be more palatable for kids if kids aren't playing Shovel Knight in the first place. It's like a little circle, right?
No, I think
if you're telling me that Shovel Knight is not palatable to a kid,
I mean it is, but it's not marketed towards a kid, right?
No, I think
marketed towards, you remember these games from your childhood. This is a new one, you know?
I think the bottom line with this whole product is that, Dad's gonna get this for Christmas. He's gonna want to play it. Kids are gonna see him play it. Oh, Daddy, what's that? And then all of a sudden he's like, well, these are the games that I used to play when I was a kid, and that's how you draw that interest. And then
But then they're gonna pull out a phone and play a game that's 5 times more graphically impressive and plays it.
It's not, but that's not all it's about. Like graphics don't mean crap if the game is not good.
Of course, right? I'm playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah.
It's true. And if you put any of those phone games up against Super Mario Brothers 1 or 3, and maybe even 2, they're gonna come up short.
Right.
They are. So, but is it going to matter? You know what I mean? Like, is it gonna matter if a kid has their phone and their dad's like, "Oh, I used to play these games as a kid," and their kid's like, "I'm gonna go play Pokemon Go. Like, I'm gonna go do whatever these games that I'm playing right now." I just don't think they're gonna have a draw. Personally,
maybe it won't matter, but I think that's the only way that this coming out will matter.
True, fair enough. I completely agree with that.
No, I really think that this is Nintendo's way of getting the parent, because they're the ones paying for any of these systems for these young kids, for them to actually introduce. Nintendo knows that they need to have a reason for young kids for Nintendo to be relevant again for young kids. This is their gateway into that. If you can target the parent, I guess in theory it all falls into line. But we'll see. I mean, this thing's going to come out and we'll see how well it sells.
I think games like Splatoon are doing a job of getting kids interested in Nintendo way more than any of these 30 games will. And that's just my opinion. Like, Splatoon is a brand new, awesome game that really excites people, and then we get, these 30 games that, I mean, they're old. Like, and I know that doesn't mean they're bad. I know that doesn't mean anything, but I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know if it's going to go anywhere. I think they really, really should move on. That's just me.
That's fine. I think there's a lot to talk about, and we're obviously coming at this with all of our, Nintendo fan history, and I don't think we'd be discussing this as heatedly as we have been if we didn't care.
Yeah, of course.
I want Nintendo to do well. I want a new Metroid game so bad. A new 2D side-scrolling exploratory Metroid game like Super Metroid, more than I want literally anything else. I have been insatiably consuming side-scrolling Metroid-style games like Guacamelee, like, not Shovel Knight, but, other things like that. Well, Shovel Knight is where I get, like, my Mega Man,
that game is like
fix.
a whole bunch of stuff.
It's so good. Yeah. It's so good. Castlevania, Mega Man type thing. Shovel Knight is immaculate. But, like, every game that comes out, Ori and the Blind Forest, all of these games that come out where if they say it's a Metroid-style game and it has an art style that looks good and the reviews are half decent, I'm buying it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I want what Super Metroid gave me, and nobody is doing it. Nobody's doing it the way that it needs to be done.
Gotcha. It's happening, just half steps.
Did you play Axiom Verge?
Yes.
Okay, I was just curious.
And?
I was very disappointed.
Oh, that's a shame.
I know that it's not good, but I am pinning my hopes on Bloodstained Ritual of the Night.
You don't think it will be?
It's dangerous because I pinned my hopes on Mighty Number 9.
Yeah.
For a Mega Man game, and now I'm not even going to buy it.
So
because apparently it's not really
trash.
good.
Yeah. So you got to take a few grains of salt with this. But I watched Colin from Kind of Funny play through the E3 demo, and
I've been meaning to watch through it.
he also talks about how he's deeply involved with the game, as in he knows Iga-san, sorry. He knows everything about the game, and they know him. There's a relationship there. He's introduced it on a few stages before, but he says he's never played the game, and he goes through it, and he just talks about what's happening, the mechanics, how it feels. And as somebody like me, where I didn't really care about Castlevania, like Symphony of the Night, I played, it was good. It was immaculate, I should say. But it's just not my style of game.
You're going to tell me that voice acting was immaculate? Come on.
No, but the gameplay, of course, right?
Gameplay's good, yeah.
Yeah, and I look at Symphony of the Night, and I'm like, oh, wow, that's exactly what I want. Of course, it's 2.5D. It doesn't look as cool, but it looks cool in different ways. So I'm pretty excited about the game. I think it's going to do really well. I think that the fact that the same studio is working on it that was on Mighty Number 9, but Indie Creates, I think, or it's Indie Creates and one other, I can't think. But they're two different teams, obviously. Yeah. So, I mean, at least it's not like the same people that just came off this failure are working on this game. And also, maybe even if they are, they know what they did wrong, hopefully. They've talked about how...
I think it's a different team.
I would assume so. But hopefully they're...
Inti Creates is making a couple of different games right now, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And also, along those same lines, another thing, I just wanted to put a thing in, a little pin in here for. I'm also excited about Chasm.
What's that?
That is the one, I think it's being promoted by the same guy that promoted Axiom Verge with Tom Happ.
Okay.
And it's made on the same engine as Axiom Verge was, so it's also going to be able to be ported to everything like Axiom Verge was. So it'll be able to be out on Vita and stuff like that. It is.
Nobody cares.
You should look it up. I think I've got the name right.
Cas, I think you. It sounds really familiar. Yeah. So this is riveting.
Yes.
Riveting?
Yes.
Riveting podcast material. Us Googling furiously.
Yeah, so there was a Kickstarter. It's by Discord Games. It is basically Castlevania.
Okay.
It's Castlevania, but also very much like Metroid in the way that you explore things and unlock certain abilities and stuff. They did a Let's Play on a Twitch stream. I want to say a few months ago, and it looked really interesting.
Okay.
So that's another game that looks maybe even more like the old style games.
Way more pixel art.
Yes. It's gorgeous.
Oh my goodness, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
You piqued my interest. I really like pixel art over the 2.5D that's been coming out. And I also appreciate how studios are making pixel art without it actually being pixel art.
Yeah, they're finding ways to do it. Like, if I don't know if you guys have seen Guilty Gear. It's currently my favorite fighting game. That is actually 3D art, but it looks like anime.
Gotcha.
Like it looks like. Look up the art for Guilty Gear XRD, and just look at the screenshots. It looks really fantastic, and it's all actually 3D art, but it looks like a cartoon.
That's crazy.
Cool. That looks
great. It's really crazy. Plus, they do things like when you get a KO on your opponent, it revolves 360 degrees around your character, and it's like really nuts. It's a crazy effect because you're like, oh, this is totally 2D, and it's not at all.
Gotcha. That's cool that they just use perspective.
Oh yeah, there's a GIF here I'm watching that the whole camera spins around. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's crazy. And on that, I can't wait to get Guilty Gear Xrd Revelator that just came out. But let's move on to the next
piece of news.
Yes, we're gonna do some rapid fire news. One thing that came out was Rocket League, which came out sometime last year. Now is ready for crossplay. It's not there yet. Apparently, it was reported.
It's crossplay between the PlayStation and Steam. Has had crossplay since PlayStation's launch.
Right. And now they're planning on adding Xbox One with PS4 and PC. Yes, Brian.
Which will be amazing.
So Rocket League is it's
soccer.
It's basically soccer, but you control cars.
Yes.
Very popular.
And you drive the cars to kick the soccer ball around. And you can like drive up the walls are all, they're kind of slanted, so you can drive up on the walls and hit the ball along with you.
The car is rocket powered.
It's really
and stuff.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And this is a big deal because typically multiplayer games have been restricted to whatever platform you're playing them on. So typically PlayStation 4 players are only ever able to play multiplayer games with other PlayStation 4 players. Xbox can only play with Xbox, PC can only play with PC.
This is the first time that we've seen this.
There has been maybe one other instance of that happening. I think you could do it. You could do it with.
Oh no, I'm saying with PS. Shadowrun. Shadowrun did PC and Xbox.
Yeah, and so they're definitely becoming more open to that. But the big thing that I think everyone's excited about is Xbox and PlayStation finally having a game that they can play in. I think the biggest thing that we just need to deal with is getting people to not fanboy and to not yell at Sony and Microsoft to not do this, which I saw a ton when Microsoft first said, hey, we're going to allow this to be open, and people were like, I don't want to play with PS4 people, like, it's going to be different, the controller is going to change the way that people play, and it's going to be unbalanced in multiplayer, but I mean, that's just, I think it's a joke. I think it could be nothing but good, specifically for the developer. They would have way less to worry about, right, when, oh, my game didn't sell as well on Xbox, so we're not going to support it as much, or things like that. That's going to be amazing. I really hope they get on that. And
I want this to be a thing on every single game forever.
Well, what's interesting is, like, networking-wise, this is totally possible. It's just that they have been so restricted on it. And I think being able to pick a game that is as simplistic as Rocket League and the matchmaking isn't super intense, it's a good stepping stone for it. Really, right now, the ball is in Sony's court. They just have to make sure they have to sign off on it, basically, and say that they're going to allow this to happen. But that's pretty cool that this is actually going on.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. And the company that made and developed Rocket League has said that as soon as they get the go-ahead from Sony, they're probably going to be able to do that and get everything into play, everybody playing together in like a day or two.
Yeah.
Which is intensely
It means
impressive.
They already have it implemented. They're just waiting for the green light. It seems like.
Yeah. So I hope they get that. I hope that this starts a trend and that whenever it is feasible that every multiplayer game will get this, because it can only be good, and it really doesn't matter what the vocal minority thinks. What this will do for multiplayer shooters that come out on both consoles means that more matches are going to be available, which means that more people are going to be able to play. They're going to be able to get into matches quicker because of faster matchmaking. It's only going to be good,
and games will stay
There's
alive
nothing
longer.
bad. Exactly. There's no downside to this. It's all positive.
I mean,
that's the reason why I hope that this just keeps going forever.
Devil's advocate. That's my title, I guess. I hope that it doesn't bring such an overhead to where it does slow down matchmaking in certain instances, because you're connecting through two entirely different platforms. You look at Xbox Live compared to PSN, and Xbox Live is light years ahead of PSN in all their functionality. So I hope that it doesn't bog down one system being open to both. But if they give it, the good college try and go for it, I really hope think they can implement it very well. That's my 2 cents. Next piece of news.
Okay. So something that I was interested in, but I haven't gotten to check out yet, was Evo, which is... Chris, do you want to give us a rundown?
So, yeah, I mean, this is
what Evo
is my first year actually watching Evo. Again, because of my buddies James and Richie. But essentially, what Evo is it's a fighting games competition tournament that happens. It now airs on ESPN2, and
it
is a worldwide event.
Yes,
this is the fighting game tournament every year.
So it took place in Vegas this year, and the main event this year was Street Fighter V. That's like the big fighting game of the year. But thankfully for Jess and I, we when we started dating, we played a lot of Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. That is still being played. So I watched that for a couple hours the other day.
That Zero. Ooh, he's so good.
Oh my god, dude, he's crazy. It's just funny. Like most of the people that play in this thing are from Japan, and then there's like the one American guy. I think his name was like Average Joe or something like that.
Awesome.
The guy for Street Fighter. But the winner of Street Fighter V was Infiltration. It was my first time ever actually watching these. It was. I would always kind of make fun of like any kind of MLG, like Major League Gaming
nerd
kind of thing, and I got so hyped watching Street Fighter V, like the top 8, and like I was texting James back and forth the whole time, and like we're tweeting, and like stuff's just like popping up, and it was so awesome, and like it's like the fastest game of rock paper scissors you could ever watch, and it's just like beautiful. It was so cool.
That's a very elegant way to put it. That's kind of what it looks
I have
like.
to. Every year, I typically haven't been able to catch it live, but I think I did last year. But typically, what I watch the Arc System Works games. So, for those of you who don't know, which is probably most of you, because
I don't know,
for
that's a small
whatever
community.
For whatever reason, I will never understand. Arc System Works games are not as popular as they should be. They should be bigger than Street Fighter. They should be bigger than all this stuff. And those, so the Arc System Works fighting games that I particularly am a huge fan of are Blaze Blue, which is a 2D anime style fighting game with a fantastic story. The story is almost entirely based around quantum mechanics and quantum physics, which is very interesting to me.
Except
and
it's
like
Japanese,
causality.
so you can't understand any of it.
Yes, you can.
Maybe a third.
It's so well fleshed out, and it's actually a really interesting application of it. Basically, the whole game runs around the premise of the Schrodinger's cat thought experiment.
Gotcha.
Which I'm not going to get into here. Look it up.
Thank you.
Read up on it. It's really interesting.
Hey, we got time, man. We can't be talking about metaphysics.
But the basic idea is that if you observe something, you cause it to be real. That's one of the main thoughts between that part of quantum mechanics.
Is
that by observing things, you actually change them.
Okay.
And this is actually true in physics when you're looking for electrons. Mm-hmm. But let's not get into the
Let's
deep
not get
dark
into physics. There's some
physics.
other podcasts for that.
Yeah.
Do they also
but
make Guilty
like,
Gear?
They did also make Guilty Gear.
They don't anymore?
They do.
Oh, okay.
They do.
Oh,
Arc System Works
Scared
develops.
me.
Arc System Works started. I think they started with Guilty Gear. I might be mistaken. And then they weren't actually the rights for that were kind of tied up for a little bit, and so they made Blaze Blue,
Gotcha.
which is the spiritual successor to Guilty Gear. But then they brought back Guilty Gear with Xrd, and it's back, baby. It's back in a big way.
Xrd is that XRD?
Yeah,
Okay.
XRD is Guilty Gear Xrd.
Gotcha.
So the first one that came out was Guilty Gear Xrd Sign, and then one just came out with a bunch of new characters called Guilty Gear Xrd Revelator.
Gotcha.
And that's Xrd Sign has been the fighting game that I've been playing. Because my other favorite fighting game, also by Arc System Works, is Trapped on 360, which is, and it's also available on PS3, which is Persona 4 Arena.
Gotcha.
I just
Persona
found out
4
about that last week. I had no idea that was actually a thing.
Persona 4 Arena and Persona 4 Arena Ultimax are impeccable fighting games. They're so good. And if you've played Persona, they have Persona 4 Arena has characters from Persona 4. Persona 4 Arena Ultimax brings in characters from Persona 3, which is my favorite Persona game so far. Persona is an RPG, a Japanese role-playing game, and they're just really, really interesting. And the way that they incorporate the Persona system is so smart. It's so smart, guys.
Nice. Might have to give it a... Well, I was going to say I'd check it out, but
Old game
I'm
is
not
old.
dusting off my 360 for... Hey, Chris, remember that. Old game is old. Don't play old Nintendo games. They're terrible. Anyway.
Yeah, so
let's
anyway,
move
so
on.
So I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna watch Evo, and I'm gonna watch the Arc System Works competition, and then I'll give the Street Fighter V one a shot. But I highly recommend it.
It's fun
Look
to
up
watch,
Evo
even if you don't know
you're-
what's going on, because one person wins,
Yeah.
one person loses. It's just,
If you like
yeah.
competition, it's fascinating.
Yeah, people get super excited. It's a cool time. It's fun. So, Chris, I think you wanted to talk about some movie coming out or something like that.
Yes,
I don't know.
I mean, this is a quick one. All that we really know is that, so last week there was an article that came out that basically said that Legendary Pictures was in talks with Nintendo to be making a new Pokemon movie, and we didn't know what it was. Today we found out that it's, so there's a game, it's exclusive to Japan. On 3DS, it's called Detective Pikachu. And you go around, and Pikachu is a detective, and he has a cute little hat, and you solve mysteries. And they're actually making a Detective Pikachu movie, which they're starting development in 2017. That's
How excited
really
are you?
that's all we know about it. All I
Fascinating.
want is for Danny DeVito to be the voice of Pikachu, like more than anything.
If that, well, see, but I know that it wouldn't be. I know it wouldn't be rated R, so I'm not going to go see
that's
that.
true. That's true.
I would want to see
be
like
so
a like
funny,
a
though.
like a Detective Pikachu meets It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia movie.
Yeah, the
Pikachu
gang meets
also-
Pikachu.
only says like 2 words,
Yeah.
both being his
That's
name.
true. It's
So
except
we'll
that
see
this
how
one
that goes.
in the show or the game or whatever, doesn't he have like a real voice? Isn't he like some hard-boiled noir detective?
No. What?
Is he?
In the show?
Okay, let's not.
No,
let's,
you're-
or
are you thinking
in
of
the, in the
Meowth?
game or what have you?
No,
Oh,
in the
in,
mov-
in the game,
No.
I don't know. I don't speak
Okay.
Japanese. I don't know.
All right, let's come back. Let's come back to this later on.
We'll get some more
That's all we
information.
know
We'll do some
about it.
digging.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well. Anyway.
Anyway, good point. Last piece of news, I do believe, is the Overwatch update came out. They added their first hero, Overwatch being the PC shooter that's not only on PC, but only cool kids play it on PC. So,
Okay.
fantastic.
I mean, all three of us play it on PC,
Exactly.
so you're
Cool
not
kids,
going to
what's
offend
up? What's
anybody here.
up? They added a new hero. First hero they're adding, and they've confirmed there will be adding new heroes soon. They changed some of the core gameplay with a few characters, and it changed the meta completely. Competitive looks totally different.
What is a meta, Marty?
The meta is what is good against what, how things play against other things. It's more or less in competition in video games. When the developer changes something, it changes everything. If they make the reload
DNA
on
of
one,
it.
exactly, they change the reload on a gun, and that changes what half the community uses, because now that gun's not as good. But because that gun's not as good, it also makes this other gun viable, because the only counter to that gun was the gun they nerfed, and nerf means took down, made it less. So with
Basically, like converting a real bat into a Nerf bat makes
Exactly.
it less effective.
So now we have, with Overwatch, we have multiple heroes that are completely different, changed, and with competitive, they changed it so you can only have one hero per team. So there's 22 heroes in Overwatch, and now on the
You
competitive
mean one
team-
of each hero?
Yes, you can have one of each hero on the team. Sorry, and that's huge, because you would get teams stacking 4 or 5 of the same hero, and that's just completely different now. You cannot do that. The game is immeasurably different instantly. So I've played a little bit. I'm super excited to jump in, see exactly where the meta is now, and I think it's going to be. I think the way they're changing the game, the way they're keeping up on the game, I think it's going to be huge. I think it's going to be huge for a long time, and I'm very excited. Very excited to see what happens.
Man, so that has been one heck of a podcast.
That was a
Yeah,
podcast.
was
Is there anything?
For sure.
It's a long one.
That was basically 2 podcasts.
Don't worry about it.
We got a double long one because we're covering a lot of stuff. Anyway, if you like what you have heard here today, let us know. You can contact us on Twitter. My Twitter is @Ribnax, RIBNAX.
My Twitter is Shrives93, SHRIVES 93.
You can find me on Twitter at Podcast Martin, spelled, Podcast Martin. I don't have to spell mine. Mine's simple. It's awesome.
Podcast Martin.
Yeah, Martin. I'll spell it just because.
All right, just because everybody else is doing it.
Yeah, why not, right? I gotta be cool.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this has been the third episode of The Platformers, and we are out.